You love writing melodies? I think I know it. Imagine if your unfinished ideas are
Individualism of the city. Village, what keeps people together is emotion and tradition and personal relationships. Mega city, what keeps people together is money, abstract and personal money. In the mega city, because you're concerned only with your own individual pleasure, you don't work hard anymore. Why would you? Work is hard. Work is unpleasant. In the village, you work because you have to survive. In the mega city, you want other people to work for you. This is where immigration comes in. The people of the mega city don't want to do hard work anymore. So they bring in immigrants to do it for them. They outsource the labor to people from less developed regions who are still willing to work hard. And here's the final stage of decline. In the mega city, people don't want to have children. Why would they? Children are expensive in the city. They don't contribute economically. They require enormous investment of time and resources. In the village, children were assets. In the megacity, children are liabilities. Birth rates plummet. The megacity stops reproducing itself. It has to import people from elsewhere just to maintain its population. And eventually, this is unsustainable. Why the megacity represents the death of civilization. And what is Beijing? What is Shanghai? What is Washington, D.C.? What is New York? What is Paris? What is London? They're all megacities. They're all exhibiting exactly the symptoms Spengler predicted. And Spengler's conclusion is stark. There's nothing anyone can do about this. Natural life cycle. Just as you cannot prevent an individual human being from eventually dying, you cannot prevent a civilization from eventually dying. You can perhaps extend life. You can perhaps make the decline more comfortable, but you cannot reverse the cycle. Now, I know someone might object to this. You might say, well, what if there's an external threat? What if there's something that forces everyone to unite in an invasion, a global catastrophe, something that makes people put aside their differences and work together? And unfortunately, the answer is it doesn't matter. Once you've reached the megacity stage, once you've achieved that level of abstraction and individualism, you're no longer capable of uniting against external. Why? First, because you're so self-absorbed that you're not even aware of external threats. And second, because you no longer trust each other enough to work together. This is a really important point. So let me explain it more carefully. You might think that if aliens showed up tomorrow and threatened to destroy Earth, that humanity would unite to fight them. That's the Hollywood version. But that's not what would actually happen. What would actually happen is that certain factions of humans would try to ally with the aliens to conquer everyone else. Seriously, that's what history shows us. Happens when civilizations face external threats in their late stages. The internal conflicts are so intense that people would rather ally with the enemy than with their domestic rivals. Think about it. When the Mongols invaded various civilizations, did everyone unite against them? No. Local factions allied with the Mongols to defeat their local rivals. When the Spanish invaded the Aztec Empire, did all the native peoples unite against them? No. Many allied with the Spanish against the Aztecs. This happens over and over throughout history. When a civilization is in decline, when it's reached the mega city stage, when it's racked with internal conflict, external threats don't unify. They just become another factor in the internal power struggle. So these are the three major theories I want you to remember. Financialization from Thomas Piketty, elite overproduction from Peter Turchin, civilizational life cycles from Oswald Spengler. Each theory captures something important about why societies rise and fall. And what I'm going to do now is combine them together into a comprehensive framework. Now, I want to warn you about something. The problem with theories is that they're simplistic, they're inaccurate, they're imprecise. Reality is always more complicated than any theory can capture. So what I'm about to present has limitations. I know it has limitations. All purposes, what we want is a working framework, a tool we can use to analyze society. When we apply this framework to concrete examples, we can refine it, we can make it better, we can see where it works and where it fails. Think of this not as the final truth, but as a first approximation, a starting point for analysis. Okay? Let me describe how society is structured. At the core of every society, you have very powerful families. These are the founding families of the nation. The families who established the power structure in the first place. And there aren't that many of them, maybe 10, maybe 100. But at most, 100 families really control things. If you look at the Roman Empire, for example, it controlled most of Europe as well as Anatolia and Egypt and North Africa. A huge area, millions and millions of people. But really, there were only about 200 families who controlled the Roman Empire. 200 families out of millions of people. That's the ratio. These families don't rule directly. They rule through three mechanisms, three pillars of power. And understanding these pillars is essential for understanding how power works. The first pillar is finance. This is what we talked about last time, central banking. The power to create money out of nothing. Power to decide who gets credit and who doesn't. Financial power is the foundation of everything else. The second pillar is religion. Now, when I say religion, I don't just mean churches and temples and mosques. Religion is whatever people believe. System of ideas that shapes how people understand the world. For most of history, this was traditional religion. Today, the religion of our civilization is science and technology. Science is what we believe in. Science is what has authority. Science is what tells us what's true and what's possible. Third is intelligence. By intelligence, I mean spies, secret services, the capacity to gather information and to manipulate events covertly. Every powerful family relies on networks of information gatherers and secret agents to maintain their power. Now, I'm not going to go too deeply into intelligence and religion today. We'll explore those pillars in future sessions. But I need you to understand that there are three pillars: finance, intelligence, religion.
Iceman, 2 times.
And it's a combination of these three pillars working together that allows the elite to control everyone else. This nexus of power, the elite control everything.
So this guy, I listened to one other lecture from him before about, he gave a lecture on religion and the origin of religions. So his name is Professor Zheng. And this is called Why the West is Entering the Collapse Phase and What's Coming Next. Professor Zheng Zhaoyin. But his lectures are pretty you won't focus in. His lectures are pretty concise. They're long format, but he's not a filibuster. So even though his lectures are like an hour or something long, like the whole time is just like pretty good material. Like I said, there's not a lot of fluff. He's a pretty good orator. Yeah, he just runs through like a lot of stuff. He's able to just run through a lot of stuff in these lectures, bro. And this is, just like you said, it's a working theory, a theory that he's come up with.
Society, schools, the military, government, media, culture, even crime and the mafia. Every aspect of society that you can imagine is being controlled in some way by this nexus of power. Let me give you a metaphor that might help you understand this structure. Think of society as a corporation. At the top, you have the owners. These are the elite families we've been discussing. They own the corporation. They set the overall direction. They collect the profits. At the bottom, you have the workers. These are the ordinary people, the masses. They do the actual work. They generate the actual wealth. They are the productive engine of the corporation. And in the middle, you have the managers. These are what we call the middle class. In Chinese history, they were called the scholar officials. Temporary analysis, they're sometimes called the professional managerial class, or PMC. Another name for them is the petty bourgeoisie. Different names for the same basic function. The managers don't own the corporation, and they don't do the productive work. What they do is mediate between the owners and the workers. Translate the owner's wishes into policies that the workers carry out. They supervise the workers. They maintain the systems. They keep things running. Now, this is a simplified metaphor. Reality is more complicated, but it's useful for analysis. Owners at the top, workers at the bottom, managers in the middle. Keep this in mind as we discuss what happens when societies rise and fall. When a society is rising, the dynamics between these three groups are very interesting. In the rise phase, the elite families who own the nation are happy to let the managers have real power. They're happy to have genuine debate and genuine input from below. What we call democracy. Not democracy as an abstract ideal, but democracy as a practical arrangement. The owners allow the workers to have a voice. The owners allow the managers to actually manage rather than just take orders. And the managers advocate for the workers. They say to the owners, listen, we should treat the workers better because if we treat them well, they'll work harder. And at this point, things are great. The workers feel invested in the system. They feel like they have a voice. They're making good money. Everyone is happy because everyone is benefiting. This is the rise phase. Openness, meritocracy, social mobility. If you're talented, you can rise. If you work hard, you're rewarded. The system feels fair because to a large extent, it is fair.
Always wondered why that app didn't exist. Now you can make it. Meet Replit Agent. Want a custom workout plan? Make an app for that.
But something happens over time. Elite overproduction. The elite families have children, lots of children, and those children expect positions of power. They expect to inherit their parents' status, and eventually there are too many elite children competing for limited positions. This creates a crisis. The corporation is now losing money because too many people at the top are extracting resources without contributing. The company is going into debt. Something has to give. Now, you might think that the managers would respond to this crisis by advocating for the workers, by saying to the owners, listen, we need to be more fair to the people. We need to share the burden. But that's not what happens. In reality, when the corporation gets into trouble, the managers turn on the workers. They exploit the workers. They deceive them. They commit fraud. They extract as much as they can from below to satisfy the demands from above. This happen because of something called rent-seeking behavior. Rent-seeking just means extracting wealth through positions of power rather than through productive work. Simple example. You own an apartment in Beijing. You rent it out to someone who needs to live in Beijing, and you collect rents. You're not producing anything. You're not creating any value. You're just extracting money because you control access to something someone needs. This is what the middle class does. Lawyers collect rent because only they can work in the court system. Doctors collect rent because only they can provide medical care. Accountants collect rent. Consultants collect rent. Professors collect rent. Anyone with a professional credential that gives them a monopoly on some service is collecting rent. Thing about the middle class. If you actually look at what managers do, they really don't do that much productive work. They go to meetings, they write reports, they supervise, but they don't actually produce anything. Their value comes from their position, not from their effort. When the corporation gets into trouble, the managers face a dilemma. They have very nice lives, very comfortable jobs, but they know in their hearts that they don't really contribute much. If anyone is going to get fired in a downturn, it's probably going to be them. So what do? They have to prove their worth. They have to justify their existence. And the way they do that is by pushing the workers harder, extracting more from below, by implementing ever more elaborate systems of control and surveillance. This is why bureaucracy grows during periods of decline. The managers are trying to make themselves indispensable. They're trying to create complexity that only they can navigate. They're trying to build little empires within the larger organization. Workers suffer. Their wages stagnate. Their conditions deteriorate. They're pushed harder and harder to generate more wealth, wealth that flows upward to the elite and their expanding families. Now, in the early stages of decline, this isn't that big of a problem. People grumble, but they go along. But over time, as the elite families have more and more children, as the demands from above grow more and more intense, the conflict gets worse. Get more resentful. The managers get more desperate. The elites get more divided among themselves. Eventually, the elite break into factions. Different families or groups of families competing against each other for power. And when that happens, everything starts to unravel. When the elite break into factions, the factions start recruiting allies from below. Each faction brings in certain elements of the middle class. Class allies bring in certain elements of the workers. And now you don't have one society anymore. You have multiple societies within the same territory competing for supremacy. This is civil war or revolution or both. And this marks the collapse of the old order. Now, here's something really important to understand. External threats don't prevent this dynamic. In fact, external threats often make it worse. You might think that if a nation were threatened by a foreign enemy, everyone would unite to face the common threat. But that's not what happened.
Who goes for a book down? It's the playoffs. Not there.
Now, why is that?
It's too early. Is he in? Is he in? Is it a touchdown?
Happens is that certain factions invite in
Who's
foreign
good?
mercenaries as part of the power struggle.
And that's easily accessible information from history that, yeah, when foreign invaders come in, the natives don't always just unite and fight against the invaders. It's the old saying, an enemy of my enemy is my friend. And even if you look exactly the same, but y'all trying to kick each other ass, and somebody comes from somewhere else who looks completely different, but they say, hey, we'll be on your side if you help us kick their ass together. And it's human nature. And that it is what it fucking is. And I kind of held that belief for a while, like, yo, if aliens came, like China, Russia, the United States, everybody would just like work together. And it's like, or would we? Or fucking would we?
With outside forces to defeat their domestic rivals. And sometimes those mercenaries realize, hey, we can take this place for ourselves. The foreign invasion that destroys a civilization often starts as an alliance between foreigners and one faction of the domestic elite. So by the time you reach the collapse phase, society is too divided, too focused on internal conflict to deal with external threats. Everyone is fighting everyone else. External forces take advantage of the chaos. This is why I said earlier that an alien invasion wouldn't unite humanity. It would just become another factor in our internal conflicts. Certain groups would ally with the aliens against other groups of humans. That's what history tells us happens. So let me summarize the framework we're working with. Society is structured with elite families at the top, workers at the bottom, and managers in the middle. The elite control society through three pillars: finance, intelligence, and religion. In the rise phase, the elite allow genuine democracy and meritocracy. The managers advocate for the workers. Everyone benefits. Society is open and dynamic. Decline phase, the elite have too many children competing for limited positions. The corporation runs into financial trouble. The managers turn on the workers and exploit them. Society becomes bureaucratic and stagnant. Collapse phase, the elite break into warring factions. Civil conflict breaks out. External forces take advantage. The old order is destroyed. Now, I want to be clear. This is a model. It's not a perfect description of reality, but it's a useful tool for analysis. When we apply this model to specific historical examples, we can see how well it fits. And where it doesn't fit, we can refine it. Any questions before I continue? Is everyone clear on this framework? Let me add another layer to this framework. As society moves through these phases, the mode of governance changes. In the rise phase, what matters is consent. The elite, the middle class, and the workers are all working together to improve society. There's genuine agreement on goals and methods. Decisions are made through debate and consensus. In the decline phase, we shift to deception. The managers can no longer get genuine consent from the workers because the workers are being exploited. So instead, they lie, they manipulate, they create false narratives to keep people compliant. Propaganda becomes essential. In the collapse phase, we shift to coercion. Deception stops working because the lies become too obvious. So the elite resort to force, what we say, or will hurt you. Society becomes authoritarian. Let me give you a concrete example to make this clear. Let's say we're a group trying to decide where to go for lunch. In the consent phase, we discuss it openly. I want McDonald's. You want Pizza Hut. She wants KFC. We debate the merits. We vote. Majority wins. Everyone accepts the outcome because the process was fair. The deception phase, I'm the leader and I want McDonald's. So I tell you that there's a celebrity at McDonald's today. That McDonald's is giving away free food. I lie to you to get what I want. You go along because you don't realize you're being manipulated. In the coercion phase, I just say, if you don't go to McDonald's, I'll beat you up. No more pretense, just raw force. There's another way to think about these phases in terms of what the system prioritizes. In the rise phase, the priority is unity, building the collective, expanding the circle of trust, creating genuine social bonds. People help each other because they genuinely care about each other. There's empathy, there's concern for the common good. I want to be your friend. We need to work together to make things better for everyone. In the decline phase, the priority shifts to stability, maintaining the status quo, keeping things from getting worse. The system isn't improving anymore, but at least it's not collapsing. The managers focus on control, on making sure nothing rocks the boat. Innovation is suppressed because innovation is disruptive. Collapse phase, the priority becomes survival. Every man for himself. Screw you, I want to live. If I have to kill you to survive, I will. All pretense of social solidarity evaporates. It's pure competition for resources. This is why the characteristics of each phase look so different. In the rise phase, society is open, democratic, meritocratic. People welcome criticism because criticism helps them improve. In the decline phase, society becomes bureaucratic, rigid, rule-bound. Criticism is tolerated but not rewarded. In the collapse phase, society becomes authoritarian. Criticism is punished. Those who speak out are enemies of the state. Now, here's something really important about timing. If you look at historical societies, the trajectory looks something like this. There's a steep rise, then a long, slow decline, and then a sudden collapse. People often think that decline is a gradual process. Things get a little worse each year. We follow a trend line slowly downward. And they think they have lots of time to prepare. They think they'll see the collapse coming, but that's not how it works. The collapse happens fast, very fast, much faster than anyone expects. Why? The system in its decline phase cannot survive external shocks. An external shock is a perfect storm of crises happening simultaneously. The system might be able to handle one crisis at a time. If there's a plague, we have plans for that. If there's a drought, we have plans for that. If there's a war, we have plans for that. But what the system cannot handle is all of these things happening at once. The plague and the drought and the war and the financial crisis and the political instability all hitting at the same time. That's the perfect storm. And when the perfect storm hits, the system collapses very quickly. Can the system handle multiple simultaneous crises? Because by the time you reach the decline phase, criticism is no longer welcome. The people who point out problems are seen as the problem. The whistleblowers are punished. The doomsayers are ridiculed. In the rise phase, those who criticize society are heroes. They're appreciated. They're rewarded. Their criticism makes society stronger. In the decline and collapse phases, those who speak out are enemies. They're silenced, they're imprisoned, they're killed, and therefore society has no early warning system. Problems accumulate unseen until they all explode at once. So this is the analytical model we're working with. And now I want to do something important. I want to use this model to make predictions, because predictions are how we test whether our model is accurate. I'm going to make 5 predictions about what will happen in the Western world over the next 5 to 10 to 20 years. I don't know the exact time frame. History doesn't follow a precise schedule, but I expect these things to happen within this general window. First prediction: decline of democracy and freedom. Remember, in the rise phase, society is open and democratic and meritocratic.
This site is literally a creative cheat code. See, I found this tool called Suno, and honestly, it's insane. You just type a few words, literally any.
But as you move through DeFi,
Are you sure? Are you sure, bro? Yeah, because he just posted this on January the 3rd of this year. Hold on, let me look up decline of Western civilization or something like that. Because okay, his title is the title of his is The West Entered the Collapse Phase. Hmm. I see a lot of similar topics. I don't see any females. Even like, so I'll just when I put in collapse of the West, this is the video that I'm watching. That pops back up in the list. Nintendo, global shutdown, why 2026 is worse. Dead, we're here, we're cooked. Uh, the New World Disaster. Like, that's the same guy right there, Jing. So a lot of his stuff is popping up, talking about the collapse. Find that shit and send it to me, bro. So there's a lot of things I've been saying about this for a while. Like that people have been doing studies on and realize it's a major fucking problem. He talked about the replacement rate when first he talked about the mega cities. Alex Jones already been talking about Prison Planet. Prison Planet. That's the name of one of his fucking websites. Prison Planet. And they want us. That's before even the news about the 15-minute cities or the wall city. Like Alex Jones was saying that shit like over 25 years ago, saying they want to move everybody from the farms, from the country, you know, from the goddamn counties into the fucking city. They want to watch and goddamn survey everybody. They don't want you living off the grid. They don't want you having fucking homesteads and raising your own livestock. They really want all mechanized farming, and they want everybody accounted for in a city. And so this guy talks about the mega city, and once a society reaches that point of having a mega city, we're so far removed from what life really is and what it is to survive and what real work actually is, that we don't have a cohesion anymore just because we live in close proximity to one another. We're so individualistic where nowadays if you see some crazy ass shit happening, you're going to pull out your cell phone and record the shit instead of actually intervening and trying to help. We have, because of the way we have structured ourselves. That's one. The mega city thing, I've always seen that has been an issue. Another thing that has been talked about for decades now is the low birth rates in America. Even here in America, like our birth rates are extremely low. We're about to reach non-replacement numbers. And that's because we've become so detached from where our food comes from. Your food should be your medicine. And now our food is poison. Mega cities, birth rate decline, and the continuous shift of power from normal people to the fucking elites. Yeah, in the beginning, voting might work, but once the fucking monopolies and conglomerates are formed, nobody gives a fuck about your goddamn vote. Nobody gives a fuck about the vote, bro. They have the elite families, and they're going to put people in positions where they want people to be. Period. They may stage or host or allow individuals to do a thing called voting. But ultimately, in the end all be all, man, the people in the highest positions are selected. All these motherfuckers are selected, and they're gonna say, "Well, he was the best candidate. He has this credential from this university and this career path and excellent military, and you're selected too, bro." I don't know if you said you heard it from a lady word for word, but because this dude said he just posted that 2 days ago. No, three. It's the 3 days ago. So you can't have heard this word for word a while ago, and then he posted 3 days ago. He must be copying some shit. But like I say, he cited uh some other scholars who've written books and papers on this stuff, and he kind of is formulating his own theory and hypothesis. So, and once again, a lot of people have been thinking about this for a long time. Like all great civilizations and empires, they all come to an end. Some other countries have like endured, but they still go through dynasty changes, like China. How old is how old is how old is China's history? Can I say it like that? How old is China's history? I don't know. Okay, so Chinese civilization is commonly said to be about 5,000 years old, but the answer depends on whether you mean mythic, cultural, or written history. 5,000 year tradition in Chinese popular culture, the official disclosure. China is often described as having 5,000 years of civilization, usually tracked back to the legendary figures in the Yellow Empire around 2698 to 2600 BCE. This includes semi-mythical periods that are not fully supported by archaeology, historically verifiable civilization, archaeological evidence for complex societies in early states in the Yellow River region, e.g., Irutu culture, often linked to the Zhao dynasty, goes back to roughly 1900 to 1500 BCE, giving around 3,500 or 4,000 years of documented early state level society. China has been around for at least 4,000 fucking years, bro. China is often described as having about 3,500 years of continuous written history, from early Bronze Age inscriptions down to the present. Even just written history, we can track that shit back 3,500 years. If you want to talk about some super ancient oral traditions and some fragments of some shit, we can get another 500 years out of that shit. If you want to talk about some myths and ancient legends, we can get another 1,000 years out of that shit. So China, I think China and India have like the oldest concurrent civilizations right now, which is pretty amazing. But they've seen everybody else come and go. Everybody else is coming on. The Mongols, the Persians, the Greeks, and the fucking Romans. The goddamn everybody. Everybody then came and gone, yo. The the Byzantines and the goddamn the kings and emperor period. Like they just, China, India, then seen all these motherfuckers come and go. You see, on college students be ripping me off, man. They got to get the best source material. So, what do you expect? They got to get the best source material. Okay. Been working on these reds for the past couple of days. I'm gonna make a new YouTube channel. Well, actually, I'm thinking about making 2 new YouTube channels. So I'm gonna make a new art channel, and I think I'm gonna start doing more pre-recorded, edited material. And actually like have like nice thumbnails for each video and narration and all that shit. And then going to make a YouTube for the music. And then I'll keep this channel, of course. But I'll do so this is just my trap house or whatever. I don't know. I think this is my trap house thing title here. So I'll make a official paintings by the Prince YouTube channel. It's just paintings by the Prince and only art stuff and nothing else. And then I'll make a and then I'll make a Trap House Entertainment Presents, or I don't know what the name of the music channel. I ain't really get that far yet, but I will make some type of music channel. I need to check my analytics for those last set of albums I dropped too. I haven't looked at them since I put them out. That was the last week of December or second to last week? No, it was the last week of December. So 2 weeks, right? All right. Yeah, this first detail layer of reds isn't showing a lot of dramatic change, but trust me, this shit is gonna be Popping. When I come back with them highlights on them gummy bears, trying to make it look like that gelatin. Oh damn. Yeah, I definitely need to do something different, bro. So I've been working on the website for the past couple of days. Um, and I have been painting. I just been trying to make more what is this? Time lapse? So I made a bunch of time lapse videos. I'm trying to stitch all these together. I might slow it down a little bit and put some narration on top of that. About how I'm layering it, whatever. Made a mock-up of posters. Those aren't real poster prints, but maybe they could look something like that. Some AI shit. Yeah, it says Meta AI. Caught some more people checking out the John at the museum. Oh, food. Okay, I thought that was next. Oh no, that didn't work. That's when I started the gummy bears. All right. So yeah, like I said, I'll probably be streaming a lot less, guys, and focusing on trying to get these sales up. I've been procrastinating on building a real business for too long. I don't think I've been procrastinating. I actually, one of the main things my mentor told me was paint, 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 and paint, and paint, and paint, and paint, and paint. Because as soon as you actually get that first break, you want to have so much material that you don't run out of stuff. Whether it's selling originals or selling a bunch of prints of originals. I got so many fucking series and so many paintings to work with right now, and I still have tons of ideas. So I think it is like now is the perfect time for me to like really focus on the business part of this and try to sell some of my ideas that I've been working on and curating for the last fucking decade. And I know this shit can sell, man. I know it can. I just gotta invest a little bit more into the marketing part. I done bought all the paints and all the brushes and all the canvases I need. I need to educate myself more on marketing, branding, and advertisement. And I'm gonna have to invest a lot more into shit like that. I need to build up a real passive income. I want my series of prints to be so popular that like chimes like that should be a notification saying another order has been placed. And then that should just chime like that all day. Another order has been placed. Another order has been placed. And so I feel like my shit should be flying off the fucking shows. I think I definitely need to brand myself different and present myself in a different manner from my art. Somebody gotta talk to me. Wendy, what's up? Yeah, they fine as hell. I don't know who that is, but God, that motherfucker a little rich. Like a rich couple. Who the fuck is that?
Of a man with dopamine burnout. He says he wants success, but procrastinates until the opportunity has gone.
Exact time frame. History doesn't follow a precise schedule, but I expect these things to happen within this general window. First prediction: decline of democracy and freedom. Remember, in the rise phase, society is open and democratic and meritocratic. But as you move through decline toward collapse, it becomes more bureaucratic and ultimately authoritarian. We will see the United States and Europe become much more authoritarian. Democracy will weaken, civil liberties will erode, governments will claim more and more power over citizens' lives. And we're already seeing this happen. Look at how Trump is using military force to address domestic issues. This is just the beginning. Second prediction: economic collapse. As people lose their voice in the system, they become less invested. They're less willing to work hard. Why work hard when the system doesn't reward your effort? Why play by the rules when the rules are rigged? Therefore, you get economic collapse, declining productivity, falling standards of living, financial crisis. Third prediction: mass immigration. When the native population stops working hard and stops having babies, the government has two choices: accept, decline, or import new workers. Most governments will choose to import workers. The attitude becomes, if our people don't want to work, screw them, we'll bring in immigrants who will. Our people won't have babies, we'll import people from countries that still have children. Essentially, it's population replacement, but this creates enormous tension. The native population doesn't accept being replaced. They resent the immigrants. They resent the government that brought them in. Conflict erupts. Fourth prediction: civil conflict. I don't necessarily mean formal civil war with armies marching against each other, but I mean widespread social violence, people fighting in the streets, ethnic conflict, class conflict, political violence. The social fabric tears apart. Fifth prediction, foreign wars. The government sees that the population is fighting among themselves. They realize that if the conflict continues, the people will eventually turn against the government itself. Revolution becomes a real possibility. So the government does what governments have always done. They send the troublemakers off to fight in foreign wars, get them out of the country, them killing foreigners instead of each other, distract them with external enemies. These wars won't make any strategic sense. They won't be about genuine national interests. They'll be stupid, pointless wars designed to channel domestic conflict outward. Now, someone might ask, isn't it wrong to send people off to die in pointless wars? Isn't that immoral? And the answer is yes, of course it's immoral, but morality isn't really the question here. We're not discussing what's right and wrong. We're discussing how power works. We're discussing what people in power actually do as opposed to what they should do. And from the perspective of the elite, the choice is clear: war or revolution. If you don't send the angry young men off to fight foreigners, they'll revolt against you. They'll tear down your palaces and take your wealth and maybe kill you and your family. So war is the better option from the elite's perspective. War kills off the troublemakers. War destroys excess wealth. War provides a distraction. War reinforces nationalism and social cohesion. War justifies authoritarian measures at home. I'm not saying this is right. I'm saying this is what happens. This is the pattern throughout history. And this is what I expect to happen in the Western world over the coming decades. Now, these 5 predictions don't happen in a neat sequence and simultaneously, and they reinforce each other. Authoritarianism leads to economic collapse, leads to immigration, leads to civil conflict, leads to foreign war, leads to more authoritarianism. It's a spiral. Someone might say to me, but what if you're wrong? What if Trump and Putin and Xi all decide to become best friends tomorrow? What if world peace breaks out? And the answer is then I'm wrong. Then the model needs to be revised. That's the whole point of making predictions. We're not claiming to know the future with certainty. We're testing a theory against reality. Predictions come true, then our model has some accuracy. Not perfect accuracy, but some, and we can refine it and make it better. If these predictions fail, then our model is wrong in some important way, and we need to figure out how. We're trying to do in this class. We're not trying to argue about what's right or wrong. We're not making moral judgments. We're trying to understand how the world actually works, how power actually operates. And once we understand that, then maybe we can do something about it. Maybe we can work together to build something better. But first, we need to see clearly. First, we need to understand the mechanics of power. I want to emphasize this point because I think it's important. In this class, we're not primarily concerned with morality. We're not asking whether things are just or unjust, fair or unfair, right or wrong. Not because morality doesn't matter. Morality matters enormously. But because moral judgment without understanding is useless. If you don't understand how power works, you can't effectively oppose it. You'll just be shouting at the wind. So first, we understand, then we judge, then we act. And understanding requires a certain cold-eyed clarity. It requires looking at things as they are, not as we wish they were. It requires acknowledging that powerful people often do terrible things and that they do those things for reasons that make sense from their perspective. This isn't cynicism, it's realism. And realism is the first step toward actually making things better. So when I explain why governments send young men to die in foreign wars, I'm not endorsing that practice. I'm explaining it. I'm helping you understand the logic of power. And once you understand the logic, you can start to see how it might be disrupted, how it might be changed.
Apparently, I could just tell AI what I want and it built it for free. Hi, my name is Mia and I've been creating software for over a year and literally launched 3 apps. But I just found out that Replit made fast mode and it's likely read my mind. Check this out. I tell it what I want, it finds the right file, it makes the changes fast. And by fast, I'm talking seconds.
But you can change what you don't understand. And most people don't understand power at all. They believe the propaganda, they accept the official explanations. They don't see the underlying mechanics. So that's what we're doing here. We're developing the tools to see clearly. We're building the analytical frameworks that will let us understand the past and the present and predict the future. And what we're going to discover is remarkable. We're going to discover that history is not what you were taught in school. The story of humanity is very different from the official narrative. And understanding that real story is profoundly liberating, because once you see how power has always worked, you stop being manipulated by it. You can see through the propaganda. You can understand the moves before they happen. You can make choices based on reality rather than illusion. This is what I mean by the secret history of the world. Not secrets in the sense of hidden documents or conspiracy theories. Secrets in the sense of truths that are hidden in plain sight. Patterns that are obvious once you know how to look, but invisible if you don't. Elite have always known these patterns. That's how they maintain their power across generations. They pass down this knowledge within their families. But ordinary people are kept ignorant. They're fed stories that serve the elite's interests rather than their own. We're going to change that. We're going to learn what the elite know. We're going to see the world through the eyes of power. And once we do, we'll never be fooled again. So let me summarize what we've covered today. We've established that the world is in decline. We've cataloged the symptoms: wars, environmental degradation, falling birth rates, debt, declining trust, mental health crisis, economic stagnation. We've explored 3 theories of why this is happening: financialization, elite overproduction, civilizational life cycles. Each theory captures something important about the dynamics of decline. We built a framework for understanding power, elite families at the core, 3 pillars of control: finance, intelligence, and religion. Managers in the middle, workers at the bottom. We traced the trajectory from rise to decline to collapse, from consent to deception to coercion, from unity to stability to survival, from openness to bureaucracy to authoritarianism. We've made predictions about what's coming: declining democracy, economic collapse, mass immigration, civil conflict, foreign wars. In our next session, we'll start applying this framework to concrete historical examples. We'll look at specific civilizations that rose and fell, test our model against the evidence, and we'll refine our understanding. But for now, I want you to sit with what we've learned. Think about how it applies to the world around you. Look at the news with new eyes. See if you can spot the patterns we've discussed. Because this isn't just abstract theory. This is about understanding the reality you live in, understanding the forces that shape your life, understanding the choices that confront your generation. The world is changing fast. The old order is dying. Something new is being born. Those who understand what's happening will be much better positioned to navigate what's coming. That's what we're doing here. That's what this is all about. I'll see you next class.
Someone on Depop really wants your style.
Is it like a cold snap thing? Yes, it is. That means we can take a Raider HQ with us. Wonderful. Good grip on also. Oh yes, and maybe he's right. He's right. Because every single time I forget this. Not this time though. There we go. See, at the end of the day, it's only a matter of reminding. Let me take the good bandage and stack that up here as well. There you go. There we have it. Now this is a now I don't know what to slap on here. I don't think this is really doing anything. This is not really doing anything. I don't know. Grip on what? Here, there. Here, right there. Right there. But look at this. It's like it reduces the ADS speed about 30%. That's a lot. So what do you put on there? I don't know. I don't think we need it. I think it's fine, because if I have a look here, right, the only other thing I could possibly do would be that one here. So this reduces horizontal recoil. Faster ADS is good. Yeah, but the problem is it's reduced, so it's going to be slower. Is it faster? What? But it says reduced ADS speed. I thought that would be. No way. Shouldn't it be? They worded it wrong. Why didn't they correct it? The entire time I thought it would be bad. Are you sure? That's what I mean. They word stuff wrong. No freaking way. I'll test this right now. What ads? I have no idea. Oh my god. Why would they do that? No freaking way. The silencers don't mean you wear out a gun quicker. But that actually happens. Like when I was shooting with the level 3 silencer, the gun actually, no freaking way. I'll test it right now. Okay, do we have everything? We got, now we should. It reduces the ADS speed time it takes to aim in. Yeah, but like, what the fuck? You wouldn't write it like that, It's like, okay, whatever. I think we have everything. We are going in. By the way, who of you plays Arc Raiders? Being here all time doesn't leave a lot of 24 if you get a life. I'm willing to skip some real life stuff, to be honest. Well, listen. It's that time of the year where you do tend to skip one or two things, okay? They should say less. I do agree. Wholeheartedly. That's nonsense. Like I literally thought, okay, it comes with an upside, also a downside.
Go to that location. Let's go to research and administration.
I made 5 million once.
Bro, I need a rusty
And I
gear.
was
So
3
fucking
weeks on
bad, dude.
vacation.
Well, 2 rusty gears.
Oh, boy.
So bad.
I haven't played Ark since last year. Yeah, it sounds very. Hey, Gambu, welcome. Yeah, you remember last year? Friendly. Oh, not that guy here though. Oh, somebody's busy with the turret. Yeah, you got this, buddy. I believe in you.
Okay.
Got no time for you people. Oh, we got the turret.
No.
It seems to be faster. Yep, it's faster. Okay. Well, good to know.
Okay.
Fuck it.
Okay, we did a good solid hour
There's no freaking way.
of painting.
There's
We're
absolutely-
going to cut it short right here,
Absolutely
guys.
no freaking way this is happening.
I said my next goal is I will be creating a new YouTube channel. The new YouTube channel will not have live content on it unless it's some announced pre-staged live stream. I will always keep this channel. I say this year, guys, I think I really want to focus heavily on trying to monetize my art. Oh man. So I have been painting this week. I just didn't. I really, while I've been painting, I've just been listening to marketing tutorials and strategies and people who understand web design and how YouTube works and all that good shit. So I think I definitely need to focus on that this year. I got too much art that I'm not making money off of. It fucking sucks, you know? Because my art is pretty fucking good, man. Art is not, it's not bad art. I just need to get it out to more people. So that's our goal, guys. That is our goal. So I'm gonna cut right here and I'm gonna dedicate another hour to, ow, my hip is fucking, I feel like it's goddamn got a cramp in it. All right. Yeah, we're gonna dedicate the next hour to business. All right. I did update the website a little bit more. There are some things I still want to change to it, but if you guys just want to browse at it real quick and just take a little look at it, you can visit paintingsbytheprint.com. I think it's starting to look pretty spiffy. All right, guys. Oh, shit. I sure appreciate your company this evening. And we'll try it again next time. Peace. We're out here. Kamizu, hi. Bye. Peace out, bro.